Jessica Mack's head hit the windshield, killing her instantly. Her spirit hovered for a few moments, making the adjustment before detaching from her body and rising higher and higher above the cliff, high enough to see the twisted guardrail where the Camry had gone airborne, rolling over and over until it came to rest at the bottom of a steep canyon. High enough to see the driver of the 18-wheeler they had hit park his big rig on the shoulder of the highway and jump down from the cab, his yellow slicker a neon point of color in the night. In defiance of the torrential rain, a smoky plume drifted over what was left of the Camry's engine compartment. Where her head had connected, the passenger side windshield was reduced to a spider web of glass mesh. Probing the moonless night, not finding what she was looking for, Jessica saw only her husband, full of alcohol and road rage, struggling up the cliff, clinging to the manzanita and scrub brush. Justin, where are you? At the very moment her child's name entered her mind, a tunnel of blinding white light opened in the heavens. Welcome, Sheila Lowe, the author of Proof of Life, which is part of the Beyond the Veil series. I'm so happy to talk to you today, Sheila.
Oh, I'm very happy to be here and talk to you too.
Yeah, this is Blackbird Writers Presents Author Interviews. And gosh, we're going to talk about this book. Jessica Mack has a near-death experience, the character in Proof of Life. And the accident was tragic because she lost her only son. And as things like this often do, the event changes her life. Now, Jessica is just discovering that she has a special talent because of all that. Can you tell readers about that?
I think she would call it a curse more than a talent. Yeah, several years ago, back in 2013, I wrote a standalone book called What She Saw. And Jessica was in that book, and she had amnesia. And she didn't know why she had amnesia, and you find out during, over the course of the book, what happened to make her lose her memory. Well, when I started writing Proof of Life, because I wanted to write a paranormal book, a book about the afterlife and the spirit world, I suddenly realized that Jessica needed to be the protagonist in this new book, Proof of Life. Well, now this is 5 years later after What She Saw and the amnesia, not recovering from that, but all this time she has been struggling to ignore the voices that she's hearing. She knows she's not crazy. These are voices from the spirit world, and they want her to do stuff for them. They're not bad, but they just want her to do stuff. And she doesn't want to. So that's where we begin this story.
Yeah, she's sort of a reluctant psychic.
Definitely a reluctant psychic when she begins, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be kind of disturbing hearing voices and people asking you, hey, can you talk to that guy in the checkout line over there?
Yeah. Hey, tell my mom. I want to tell her something. Tell him I'm sorry. Like, you can't just walk up to strangers.
Right. No.
Unless you're the Long Island medium, maybe.
Maybe, yeah. But you have to have credibility to pull it off, I think, if people don't want to believe that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want to hear it, but I've been surprised at how many people do. And if they hear that you have a story, they'll tell you their own spirit stories.
Yeah, that's true. So Jessica is an artist, and but before I get to that, there is one spirit that really, really wants to talk to her, and it's her son.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to let her know that he's there, and he has something he wants to ask her to do too.
Right. It
Like
seems like he's been making a lot of friends on the other side.
Yes, because he was only he was almost 4 when he died, and so he's growing up in the spirit world.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept to me, that the spirit would actually grow up. that never even had crossed my mind. So I thought that was interesting in your book.
Well, I don't have that experience personally, but I have read a lot about it, and that seems to be what happens.
Huh. So her artistic talent is in miniature scenes. She makes an English garden and a log cabin in the woods. And you could have written her as a painter or a sculptor or even an author. So why did you choose to have her make miniature scenes?
Well, she is a sculptor. Remember, she sculpted the dog's head for a gift for Claudia. And
Right.
she's an artist. She reminds me in that way of my sister-in-law, who's multi-talented. But let me just show you something here that I produced for my book launch party.
Oh, wow.
And, you'll see here, it's the cover
Proof
of
of
the book.
life. Hey.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But this is not the kind of quality work that Jessica does. I made this from a kit that a friend sent me.
Uh-huh.
It's like 5,000 pieces in it. but Jessica does very fine little tiny pieces. And I love miniatures. They fascinate me. And I just thought that would be a good job for her.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really interesting. I love doll houses. So
Oh, you should see my neighbor. She's got the most fabulous dollhouse with everything that has, all the things, anything in your house in miniature. And it's
wow.
like 1940s.
I know that collectors can find almost anything that you have in your home these days. You can find it in teeny tiny versions.
Name brands, and it's very expensive. I found that out.
Yeah. So you go into a lot of detail about the spirits in the afterworld, which I imagine is different for every psychic, right? But what kind of research did you have to do for this book?
Well, my interest in the spirit world started in 2000 when my daughter was killed by her boyfriend, who also killed himself. And I wanted to know what happens, where did she go after she was killed? And so I started reading a lot of books on the spirit world by people like John Edward and James Van Praagh, who, as it happens, I went to a meeting of about 1,000 people, and John Edward picked me out of that crowd. This was 3 months after my daughter's death, and he brought her through in amazing ways. And then James Van Praagh came to my house and taped one of his shows. And the way that all came about, I knew my daughter had engineered it. So, over the years, I read a lot, and then it sort of faded away. I always thought I'd write a book about her and her life, but it was too difficult. And the years went by. And then a man that I was involved with died very suddenly at the end of 2016. And so that reawakened it. And I started attending meetings of the Afterlife Research Institute, something like that. And that's not quite right, but that's something. And, it's people getting together in a convention and all different speakers on different topics. And I started learning a lot that way. So when I wrote this book, shortly after I started doing that, and several mediums told me independently that my daughter would be working with me on this book. And so after it was done, I sent it off to Wendy Zamet, who is one of the people who knows everything about the spiritual world. And, she helped me to fine tune it. And then I sent it to several well-respected mediums who gave me their, they said that it was very, very, the word lifelike, true to life. Huh. Especially the seance scene.
Right. That was really intense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never actually been to a seance in person, but I've seen lots of them on YouTube by reputable people.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine there are enough shysters in every profession, but
you have to be careful.
Yeah, definitely. So after your character Jessica helps an FBI agent friend, Zach Smith, find a missing body, he realizes that her visions, for lack of a better word, are true. And then he asks her to help find a missing boy. Set this story up for the readers.
Yeah, Zach, who's her friend, tells her that this couple has been having marital problems, and the mother was going to leave, and the father found out about it, and he decides to strike first. And she comes home one day and finds him gone with the boy, and there's an element of threat. So they haven't been able to find him anywhere, the FBI, in their involvement. And so now that Zach knows that Jessica really can come through, he prevails upon her to help him find this little boy, Ethan.
Yeah. And she does. She spends most of the book looking for the child, and I got really worried about him.
Yes, with good reason.
Yes.
And by the way, her love interest, who we won't name because he's in another book. He's in my other series and written off. He's introduced there. And when I started writing Proof of Life, I said, oh, he needs to be in this book. So I love crossovers.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so, let everyone know, Proof of Life is not part of the Claudia Rose series. It's the Beyond the Veil series, but Claudia does make an appearance in this book. Is she also in the prequel to Proof of Life? Yeah.
She is. Yeah. She and Joel, her boyfriend, then husband now, play a smaller but important role, I would say.
Yeah, that's so cool. I love that idea.
Yeah, they help Jessica to figure out what happened to her and why she has amnesia.
Yeah. And your readers know that you are a handwriting expert. So my question has nothing to do with the book.
Okay.
What is your favorite word? I know it's a silly question.
How in the world? Ineffable. It's the question, and the answer is ineffable. I like words. Well, they're actually names, like Mogadishu. It feels interesting as you say it, or terpsichore, But I don't know if I have a favorite word.
Yeah. It was just something, I don't know, dumb that I came up with.
We, as writers, as you know, we work with so many words.
Right. Yeah.
Hard to pick one.
Well, I really, really enjoyed the Proof of Life book. And if anyone is interested, the descriptions of the afterlife and all of that are really, really very interesting, and it feels so realistic while you're reading it. So
well, I think
highly recommend it.
At the end, thank you. And at the end, I added some resources for people who are in grief and who are looking for some help, looking for a place to go or things to read. And there's lots and lots of stuff. I host an afterlife Zoom meeting, and we sometimes have guest speakers. Like this week, we're going to have someone talk about accessing the Akashic records. And for those who don't know what Akashic records are, those are supposedly I don't know if they're actual books in the spirit world, but they are a recording of everything that you've ever said or done or thought or in your life. It's all right there.
Wow. That's really cool. So, yeah. So everybody pick up Proof of Life. It's amazing. And thank you, Sheila, so much. Where else can readers find you if they want to get in touch with you? Or
well, SheilaLoweBooks.com has all my book stuff, and just SheilaLowe.com is about handwriting analysis. So you can find me anywhere.
Great. Thank you. Yeah, thanks so much for chatting today. Bye.
Bye.